Welcome, everybody, to We Geek Podcast. Today is Wednesday, June 28th.
This is episode 106.
I'm Logan. I'm joined by my good friend Adam.
What up?
And this week, we've got a special guest with us for at least a good chunk of the podcast. I finally talked my girlfriend Chantelle into coming on. Say hey.
Hi.
Yay! I'm doing a round of applause. I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, no, because we've talked about how I've been trying to get her to watch Star Wars, and we finally finished catching up on all the movies and everything, and we had talked about this a while back of like how it would be cool to get a fresh impression on somebody who's just watching it at older in this day and age. But so we finally got that set up for today. So she'll be with us for at least a good chunk of the show, and especially through all the Han Solo stuff and everything, because that's shit. But,
oh yeah. What a train wreck that is. But yeah, I'm excited to hear of a perspective of Star Wars in 2017.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to be interesting.
So yeah, man, how's your week been?
It's been good. Just been, geeking out, and I actually started dabbling in some Adobe Premiere. So, I want to start doing some YouTube stuff. I've been talking about that forever, right?
Yeah.
We've been wanting to venture ourselves out and do some you with the movie stuff, and I wanted to do some YouTube stuff, and I'm dabbling in that, and I've been messing around with that to start to make, to put something together that looks normal. But no, I mean, just it's been a week, work and everything, all the normal stuff. Catching up on a lot of Rebirth titles. But started watching Glow. Have you seen it?
I watched the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a few episodes into that, and it's really good. I love how 80s it is and how just crazy they are.
Yeah.
But I've been doing that. Playing a little bit of Injustice 2, trying to unlock a whole bunch of stuff. There's really they just dropped like a huge, I don't know if it's I'm sure we'll talk about it tonight, but the PlayStation sale that went on sale today, there's like over 500 games on sale right now on the PlayStation Store. So there's an insane list. Like you can get Ratchet and Clank for like $3, Shadow Mordor for $3. So
nice. Wow.
Just been kind of doing that, just hanging out. But yeah, that's really it. I haven't on the movies or anything like that. I haven't seen anything since like Wonder Woman.
Yeah. No, I haven't either. I just started reading. There's a couple of books out right now about NXT that I'm working through. One is like
really?
Yeah, because WWE has one, like their official, like the history of NXT kind of thing, and the guys at What Culture did kind of like a here is what, like the road to NXT, the not quite so pretty version, basically.
Oh wow, okay.
So they're the the WWE one was like $10 on Amazon, and the What Culture one, interestingly enough, is on Kindle Unlimited. If you've got that, it's actually in that library, which I was like, I didn't know. And then it was like, oh, based on your whatever it was, like recently visited or something, and it popped up, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. Yeah, I'll look at that. It's crazy.
Yeah. But,
I have one of Jericho's books. It's the only kind of WWE stuff I've read so far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that sounds cool though.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. But the What Culture guy made a book all about NXT. You said that to me sounds super interesting.
Yeah, there was. They did. I forget which. It was like one of their other writers. It wasn't one of their like personalities. It was one of the guys who does more of the. Because like a lot of the guys who do the articles and stuff, you don't see on the YouTube channel really.
Right. Those are two different kind of worlds. You have the entertainers, and you have like the actual writers that can write. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, they did one. It's called Development Hell, a play on the old process for like movies and video games and stuff. They're like, So I haven't really chomped into that one yet, but I've been reading the official one, and it's not a puff piece. It's not like NXT is great, everything's amazing. It starts off with basically like, so NXT came from FCW, and FCW was pretty shit, and NXT wasn't all that great to begin with either. So it's like, okay, this is fairly honest, at least.
Yeah, because I remember when NXT was like, it was, I think, a reality show, or
Yeah.
like it was Tough Enough or something.
It was like a revamped Tough Enough, except way more embarrassing.
Right, okay, that was the whole time period I didn't watch, but I do remember seeing like
Yeah,
something about it where it wasn't actually like what it is now.
yeah. No, that
Which
was
is,
not fun.
oh yeah. Oh, another thing I've been catching up on is Legends of Tomorrow season 2, which you have to watch.
I know, like
They,
you ought to see my queue. The list is enormous. It's insane.
oh man, I watched an episode. I might have talked about this last week, where they go to like the Civil War era, and a time traveler drops in, and he's a zombie, and then like a zombie breaks out in the Civil War era, so they have to fix it. It's so off the wall,
Yeah,
goofy. That it's perfect. It's like, okay, this is like Doctor Who.
yeah,
Like this is just balls to the wall weird, in all the best ways. You know what I mean? Like it's not super serious like Arrow. They're just having fun, and then the next one they're like, oh, let's go to like old Japan. Like let's just go mess around with samurais and stuff. Like I love that I love that the show's just weird. So I've been catching up with that.
nice.
Well, let's hear from our guests. What have you been doing this week?
That's your cue, babe.
Um,
Do I put you on the spot?
working.
Working.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's about it.
Pretty much that, and we're catching up on the last season of Supernatural.
And
We're
Oh, okay.
finally started
That
Game
show
of
seems
Thrones.
like there's like 56 seasons.
there's what did they just finish? 12? Yeah.
And it's been renewed for
That's
13.
insane.
And yeah,
Yeah. They're
How long has it been running?
13 seasons. I think it's about to start 13.
Jesus.
Yeah.
yeah. And
That's crazy.
that's nuts because we're trying to finish that so that we can really get started on Game of Thrones since the next season starts in less than a month. And
Oh yeah.
you know, there's no way we're going to be able to watch all 6 seasons by then, but we're going to do what we can.
Yeah, that would definitely be a challenge. That's an insane amount. The good thing about Game of Thrones though is like that's the kind of stuff I can binge watch, like crazy. But yeah, that's a lot of television to watch. Yeah, the 12 seasons. That's what threw me off about Supernatural is I was like, oh my god, this is like I would have to sit down for like a year to watch all this. Because from what it's not like 10 episode seasons, right? It's like 23 or episodes or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's
24.
yeah, it's full broadcast
Oh.
standards, yeah.
That reminds me when I tried to do like 24, whatever one of those shows were, and I was like, oh my god, this is the only one I could do it was Lost because I loved Lost, and that was like such a cool thing. But I'm glad that a lot of the newer shows are like, oh, each season's like 10 episodes. It's not as daunting.
Yeah. Well, leftovers
before,
from the old broadcast TV days, they still and they can't really shift away from them either. Like if you came onto TV during that format, you kind of have to stick with it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think Lost tried to shift to that. That was one of the first shows for America, at least. That was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, let's clean this up a little bit and not have episodes where they're chasing hogs around. But it still pissed people off because they're wait a second, now we're losing episodes. People didn't get it then.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we're trying to do what England's been doing for a while, and yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really been watching anything else. Just catching up on Legends of Tomorrow. There's not much on TV right now, is there?
Nah, summer break. Everything takes like the next couple of months off.
Yeah, but that's time to catch up on everything too.
Good point.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And I like that the CW shows are on Netflix in like I think it's like 7 days or something like that.
9, I think.
9.
Which
That's
is a
right.
weird
Oh, and I
number.
watched. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's a weird number.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is weird. I watched a movie on it was a documentary on Hulu called Batman and Bill.
Oh, have you seen that? I haven't seen that yet, but I want to so bad.
Yeah, so about half of it, it was super late. I know I shouldn't be watching things that late because I always fall asleep. I ended up turning it off. I was going to finish it, but so far it's really good. It tells the story about Batman and Bill Finger and how he was essentially the writer of Batman. That Bob Kane took all the credit. He was the artist, and Bill Finger was, he was the ghostwriter pretty much. Him and Bob sat down and created it, and Bob went the next day to DC, handed it over, and said, "I created this by myself with no help." And they later on found out that it was Bill Finger who created like everything, all the characters, all Riddler, Joker, all that stuff. He didn't really want any of this limelight, but then of course once it blew up, it's like, oh wait a second.
Yeah,
It's interesting because they show that Bob wanted to do a Batman character, but it was a guy in red tights, no bat, like nothing resembling what Batman was. I know it's an interesting documentary about it all and just how crazy some of them were back then. But
yeah,
it was interesting.
It's weird because people, what happened with Bob Kane and Bill Finger is really what people think happened with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. That there's this kind of like animosity and that's fluctuated throughout the years, but the idea of like, oh well, Jack did all the work and Stan just signed his name, that wasn't really true. But with Bob Kane and Bill Finger, it kind of was.
It was true all the way from like the 30s to the 60s. It wasn't the guy doing the documentary, but when he started doing the documentary, there was only 2 known photos of Bill Finger, and that's really all people had. Like it's like a ghost, pretty much, and then later on, he's like, by doing this documentary, we've uncovered all of this information. We've recovered this recording of Bill Finger talking about, how him and Bob sat down in that room and created the character, and all Bob really had was blah blah blah, and all Bill had was this, and they recovered all this, like they recovered the first Comic-Con ever, which was in New York City in some like just rundown hotel, and Bill Finger talking on a recording about creating Batman, and everyone at DC knew it. And like they talked to people that were still alive that are like, yeah, this was, it was totally all Bill Finger. Everybody knew that, but it was Bob that was like, well, I created all this. But yeah, it was insane, and showed all the characters, and like he's the one who came up with the Batmobile. He's the one who came up with the Batcave and named it the Batcave. He was the one that came up with the Joker, Catwoman, Riddler, you name it, like the Scarecrow. Like it literally created the entire thing. And Bob was just there and drew it, pretty much what it seemed like. He was a collaborator, but taking all the credit was just bullshit. So I don't know. Yeah. It was interesting. It's on Hulu. It's really good.
Yes, I saw when the trailer came out for that, and I was like, damn, I really, like, this looks really interesting, and it's just another thing I haven't gotten around to watch yet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just to give you an idea of what the kind of stuff I want to do on YouTube is stuff like that. I just want to take things like stories like that and research them a little bit and just talk about it and put it in, like, digestible 10-minute clips. Not really me on camera or anything like that, just like, just show photos and old comics and stuff like that, and just little cool clips like that. So that's kind of what I've been working on. So I've been in that mode of that world for like the last few weeks now. So
nice.
Yeah, should be cool. But oh man, but yeah, I haven't really done anything else this week.
No.
Now we got a few minutes here before break. Probably don't want to jump into anything too big. What was I gonna? There was something else. Now my mind just went blank.
Lost your thought process, did you?
I totally. Oh well, we got 3 minutes. Let's talk about how terrible Raw was.
About what? Sorry, man.
Did you see it? Did you see how terrible Raw was this week?
I saw bits and pieces of it. Like I skimmed it because I was like, I just kind of want the highlights, and because I knew every time they go to Los Angeles, it's atrocious because they're like, this is our big celebrity Raw, and this time they were like, this time we've got balls, except they didn't really, like,
Right.
it was just,
Oh yeah,
it was terrible.
yeah. The whole of I don't really watch basketball. I know who that guy is just because I turn on ESPN and stuff like that, and
Right.
I know he's like a dance mom for his kid.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I had no idea it would go that off the rails, and then like his little kids started throwing around the N-word and stuff on television. That's why I don't know if you saw, but Vince McMahon literally started playing Dean Ambrose's music to cut everything.
Yeah,
and while Dean Ambrose was in the middle of talking.
Yeah.
And they had a go ahead.
Did not go well. It really didn't.
No, they had an issue, an apology because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was crazy, and I don't know. I don't like the stuff they're doing with Enzo and Cass. I think they've totally ruined that, and it's another reason to me go, should I watch this thing live? It seems so off the rails now.
Yeah, I think they're scrambling because they're like they've suddenly remembered, oh shit, our next pay-per-view is called Great Balls of Fire. Like, I think maybe that's finally sunk in just how stupid that sounds, even though Paul Heyman tried his ass off to sell that. He's great.
Hard. He's great.
It's great. But
yeah, I love the women's match at the end. I liked the Joe stuff, and Paul Heyman's great. But other than that, it's like now the next month is going to be this tease of Corey Graves and Kurt Angle. So it's
right.
It's just so like what are they doing? Like it's ridiculous to like even seeing clips from this Glow show and seeing this isn't really a spoiler because it's not that big of a deal. What I've seen so far, like she's trying to watch television to see what wrestlers are doing and showing like Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and to see those crowds and how crazy they get. And nowadays it's just everyone with their phone out going, what is this LeVar Ball guy gonna do? It's just so dumb.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but we gotta take a quick break, right?
Yeah, we're coming up on it here. All right, you're listening to a We Geek podcast here on the N.FM, and we'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek podcast here on the N.FM, and we're going to do our main event a little early this week because, I mean, shit, look at all this news. They've before we get into what happened with the Han Solo film this week, which will now be directed solo.
Yep.
Which is just, God, what an absolute catastrophe this has been. But
yep.
Let's get your take on this, Chantelle. Tell us a little bit about what it was like watching Star Wars after year 20.
Well, I mean, I knew everything that was going to happen. Well, not everything, but Vader's Luke's father, and,
right.
And it's weird because you go into this kind of knowing some things, but you don't know, I don't know, the details, and that changes everything, and I don't know,
it gives more meaning to the like, like I imagine, like you were saying, like you knew, Luke, I am your father. You've probably heard that just because you've been on the planet,
Right.
So you've heard that, but now seeing like what all that means and what all went into that, did that take anything away from those moments at all? Do you think they would have been more impactful if you had no idea?
Probably, but I mean, you can't. That's something that you can't really avoid.
Right. That's what I imagine. During it, did you watch you watched the prequels first, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you saw the newer films first, then you watched the older ones, and then you watched the new one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, compared to the prequels, when you watch, I'm curious because when me and Logan saw it, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm pretty sure that we enjoyed them when we watched them as teenagers, but later on, people just, or when we were that age, we enjoyed them. Older fans, I think, ragged on them immediately, and have been for a while now. Did you enjoy the prequels?
I did. I actually, my favorite one my favorite Star Wars movie is one of the prequels, and I know that's like totally awful, but
No, that's not awful. No, that's not awful at all. Yeah, no.
yeah.
Well, which one is it? I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah, she's holding up 3 because she forgot this is an audio podcast.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember which one it is.
Revenge of the Sith.
That one.
Revenge of the Sith. No, it's okay. You could say 1, 2, or 3. That's fine.
Well,
Yeah, no, that was probably. I can find something to like about all of them, and I do like all of them.
Well,
I think that
yeah.
I'm kind of one of those. A lot of the older school fans, they just don't like those films when they try to break it down. But I actually enjoy all of them. I think the third one's my favorite because it was, I think it was a little bit of him maybe listening to the fans, like, and getting it more tight in his writing and everything else.
Yeah.
Where there was an in destination that, there was a point where he was like, okay, we're going to work to this, and way more action and stuff like that. And that finally that turn I thought was really cool. And the fight scene at the end, like even in the first one, I loved Darth Maul and that fight and all that stuff at the beginning. I thought it was way more action packed.
Well, I like young Annie, but
Did you real fast side note? Did you guys see that he was taken from jail this week to the what do you call it? The ward or whatever, where you get, like, he's like in jail right now or something. Did you guys see that?
No, Jake Lloyd, really?
Yeah, he was
Holy
taken to
shit.
like the mental ward this week or something.
Damn, the psych ward, is that what the word you were looking for?
Psych ward, yeah. I don't know anything about that stuff, but I thought that was crazy. I had no idea he was even in jail.
Well, his life was pretty much shit after episode 1 because of how, like, the planet just kind of turned on him. Really.
Poor guy, that's so sad. Like, it's not his fault.
No, not at all.
He did the best he could do with what he was a kid.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
Now, if he grows up and, like, falls into a volcano and comes back and becomes like an evil head of the UN or something, it's gonna totally all be worth it.
Yeah, like, you have to be sitting there like him right now. Oh, I feel terrible for him because, yeah, he probably does think about that. Like, I was fucking Darth Vader, and what has happened? How did I get here in, psych ward? That's crazy. I feel bad for him. Obviously, he's got a lot of problems, but man, I thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the first movie. I always fast forward through the pod racing scene because it was great the first time I saw it, but it drags anytime after I see it.
Yeah.
But I love the whole ending of the film. I remember me and my brothers used to, we would take PVC pipes and we would just play out that scene over and over again of the fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can find some great things about all of them. Why was the third one your favorite?
well, because Jar Jar Binks wasn't in it.
Oh yeah. Well, no, he's in it for a minute.
Yeah, but like it's like his shortest appearance.
Yes, that's true. He just looks really sad because he's like, I just fucked everybody over.
Well, that's the thing. People forget Jar Jar Binks literally ruined the galaxy because he was the one who proposed giving Palpatine the emergency powers. It's his fault.
Yeah. No, did you see where he's at in what's the book? Hold on a second. The third Aftermath book, where it's kind of like it's different stories throughout throughout that time period. One of them is about a beggar on wow, my mind just went blank. What's the city?
Coruscant?
No.
What are you looking for, man?
Theed.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like a beggar on Theed. He's like juggling and stuff like that. And he talks about how he screwed everything up with the Senate and how he got there in life. And I thought, I felt terrible for it. Like, when I read that, I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, his character just is, what they wrote him as. I don't know.
Oh, well,
But,
you ruin the galaxy, you get what you deserve, really. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen any of the do you like behind the scenes stuff?
I don't know. I haven't seen any really behind the scenes stuff yet.
Oh, okay.
Figure I
didn't know if you
eventually.
liked any of that kind of stuff with movies, but with the Star Wars ones, Episode 1, they have a whole documentary where it shows the entire process from the time he sits down to start writing it to the point when they're getting the props, and he's showing Steven Spielberg all this stuff. And throughout the whole thing, he talks about how Jar Jar Binks is the thing that's going to make everything great about this film. It's either going to make everything work or it's going to fail, and it's all on Jar Jar Binks because he's the linchpin. And it's so cringy to hear this whole thing because you know how the outcome is. You know that that's the one thing that people just hated the most, and it's just interesting that it should be on the Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the new R2-D2 basically.
Right. Yeah, he's like everything's gonna rely on this guy, and hopefully it works. And then you see them when they're watching the final product, and you see the looks on a lot of the people's faces, and they started asking a bunch of questions, and they're like, I don't know about this. Like, is it? And you see some of them like, I thought it was good, right? They're like, yeah, it was good, you know. But you can see it in their faces. They're like, what the fuck did we just make?
You gotta love it. But yeah, so I have officially taken someone who has never seen Star Wars before and made them a geek. So from this day forward, I am now officially a Jedi Master. I've accomplished something in life. I have taken a Padawan and trained them to the rank of Jedi Knight. So
there you go.
I'm an officially recognized Jedi Master. So that's what I've done with my year.
Oh yeah. So have you liked any of the newer ones that came out? The Rogue One and the Force Awakens.
I really liked the Force Awakens, but I have a lot of questions about it. But I think everybody does. How is Rey related to, everyone else, and what's going on with Ben or Kylo Ren?
Yeah.
There's so much, and it is. I really don't want to wait until December to see the Last Jedi, and it's just
we might not even get the answers then, but you're right along with everyone else. No one knows. I mean, a lot of people think it's Luke's daughter. I saw a rumor that I thought was interesting. What if Luke had a relationship with whoever Obi-Wan Kenobi's, like, if he had an offspring or something like that? I thought that'd be combining the Skywalkers and the Kenobis together. But yeah, all those questions you just asked. That's what everybody, fans of the series forever, have been wondering the same thing. So you're right in the same boat. And the thing is, we might not even know any of those answers with this film. They might just tease it. Who knows? The good thing is back then you had to wait 4 or 5 years for a sequel to the movie, where now we're getting it every other year. So
yeah, at least it's not like waiting, from age 10 to 15. It's
yes,
a shorter time span, but it's still there are a lot of questions. Everyone has questions about it.
Tell him what you had us buy. We went to Best Buy today to get a Y cable so I could have 2 sets of headphones hooked up. We're leaving, and like at the end of Best Buy, they've got like, here's the snacks. No, you don't want those. Here's like little other junk. No, I don't want that. Here's like a handful of pop figurines. And which one did you pick out? I reached and saw like they had King Bob from the Minions. Not just Bob, but like in his full getup, and I was like, "That's really cute." No, this one says, "No, we have to get this one." Which one did we get, baby?
We had to get Poe Dameron.
Oh, there you go. Is he your favorite in the new one?
No, definitely not.
No.
I don't know. I'm torn between Finn, Rey, and Leia, just because General Leia.
Yeah, that was cool. I love that they made her a general in it. I thought that was awesome instead of like princess or queen or whatever. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Like having her in charge of an army.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love Poe and Finn's little bromance. I like that they seem to be, like in the trailer, they seem to be together for a lot of the film coming up. So
I'm really excited about it, but like I want to know what goes on between Rey and Luke, because I mean she
Yeah.
gives him his saber, but you know what happens after that.
Right, yeah, and I like that, they teased like, don't meet your heroes because it might not be exactly what you're expecting. So I like that tease where it's like you would think they'd be like, oh great, he's gonna train her and blah blah blah, but it looks like maybe there's a problem,
Yeah.
and Luke seems pretty mad. So yeah,
Well, given that everything that happened the last time he tried to train Jedi,
Yeah.
I can understand why he's a little put off by the whole thing.
oh yeah, and did you see that his last con is going to be New York Comic Con this year? That's it.
He's not doing any more?
He's not doing any more. Now, I mean, he might. I imagine he'll do like the Star Wars ones for
Sure.
panels, but I think he meant for like signing stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, and I'm never going to a con ever again, ever, because
Right.
he's just too much. He's too big of a nerd.
Exactly. It's not. It's not like the Stan Lee situation where Stanley's like, "Look, I'm done because I'm really old and
Yeah.
I just want to sit at home and watch Murder She Wrote. I don't want to, do this rounds anymore."
I love that you went with Murder She Wrote. That's great.
Oh, I imagine him and his wife sit down and watch Murder She Wrote, and have bologna sandwiches and stuff,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine that
Uh,
they do. Have you seen any of the documentaries and stuff where they go to their house and stuff?
yeah, I saw one. There was one that came out. What was it? Like a few years ago,
Yeah,
where yeah, and that was yeah, because his house is just such an unassuming place.
to me it just seemed like everyone's grandparents' house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he had little candies and like they were sitting down watching just like an old television, and I
Yeah,
was like, oh, he's probably watching Dateline or something right now. He's
he's
probably in bed by 8.
yeah, more than likely. He's like, well, I could stay up and watch 60 Minutes, but Mike Wallace isn't on there anymore, so I'm going to bed.
Right. Yeah, no, oh man, but yeah, no, I imagine Mark Hamill, something will happen. Something will come up, and he'll be like, all right, well, let's go do a panel or something like that, because I doubt he can stay away for that long. He's way
No.
too into it.
No, he'd start going just to see what kind of stuff he could find to buy.
Yeah, oh
He's
yeah, oh yeah.
he's a collector. He did a show on Comic Con HQ on YouTube about
Mhm.
finding different collections. I can't remember what it was called.
It was something about toys or something. I remember that. I've
Yeah,
seen a few of the episodes.
yeah, it was like the Great. I don't remember. It was like the Great Treasure Quest or something. It had like a little premise and everything to it. It was great, but it was basically just an excuse for him to be on a show about like all the nerd memorabilia there's ever been, ever, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so
Yeah.
when did Mark?
So that's cool. That's cool. Have you seen any of the Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that?
We started watching Clone Wars.
Yeah, the
Animated
film,
one.
yeah, the
Yeah.
animated one.
Oh, okay, yeah. If you dive into that, I always recommend, if you go into like the show, there's like a list online. You could probably look it up.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, these episodes are the ones that are important because it's all out of order, the entire thing.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, these episodes are important. These are the key ones. But it definitely, it gives more, I don't know what the word would be, credence to the films. When you see certain characters just pop up randomly. Like the guy that's in Rogue One,
Oh,
Forrest Whitaker's character,
yeah, Saw Gerrera.
Saul. Yeah, when he's straight from he's one of the first, I think, that was just straight from the animated series to brought up into like live action,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he was on. I think they included him in Rebels, knowing that he was going to be in Rogue One.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So it was a little. It was more like it's more like when like if we started watching Rebels, and you get to was it season 2 where Ahsoka turns up? You're
Mhm.
like I don't. It wouldn't click with you because you would just be like, oh, who is this? I don't know who that is because you
Well, no,
haven't
he
seen
was
Clone Wars.
in Clone Wars.
Saul was in Clone Wars?
Oh yeah, he was in like 2 or 3 episodes. They go to his planet. I don't know if you want me to spoil what happens, but he is a resistance fighter. You see the origin story of him and how he becomes so radical, and then by the time you see him in the movie, he's so far gone, where he's torturing and killing people to because he thinks everybody's a spy. In the first 2 episodes you see him in Clone Wars, he is radical, but he's not that far extreme just yet. Obviously, some shit happened
Yeah.
between the time you see him, but yeah, he's in like 3 or 4 episodes.
Wow, damn, because I knew he was in like 2 in Rebels, but I didn't know he was in Clone Wars.
Yeah, they brought him into Rebels after he was in the movie, like tied around the same time frame because they knew it was going to happen.
All right, cool, interesting. Well,
Yep.
on that note, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll talk about the madness behind the Han Solo film. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast here on the N.FM, and we'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast here on the N.FM. And we've got 2 big topics this week, and we're going to go ahead and get into our first one. What the fuck is going on with the Han Solo film?
Oh my god, it is a nightmare.
It's insanity over there. And I mean, it's one thing to have reshoots or rewrites or bring in new actors or whatever, but I mean, the directors are out. Like, Lord and Miller are out before they get to post. This is this is never a good sign. And then everything that we've been hearing after that is just like, oh my god, like I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Should we break down kind of what's been said officially and non-officially?
Sure. Well, we'll go ahead and get the first bit out of the way, that Ron Howard has been brought in to finish directing duties.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I think it's a good pick.
I think so too. Ron is a good pick. He's a solid pick. He's got history with Lucas and Disney and all these people. So it's a good choice. It's a solid choice. It's a safe choice, which I think at this point, yes, that's exactly what you need. You don't need to go out on a limb again when you're you're supposed to be finishing production in a month, and instead it's going to be pushed another 2 months because of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're actually they're cutting it close because apparently Donald Glover and Emily Clark, they're in TV shows. They have prior, they have to do their shows and they have to be on set on their projects. So they can't do it. She's got to go do Game of Thrones and he's got Atlanta. He's like a showrunner and an actor and producer for a show. So they both have to be somewhere else. So if they didn't have to do that, I wouldn't be as concerned because it would be like, okay, we have more than enough time to kind of fix what obviously has been broken, but they're running against that clock with them. Yeah, it says here, production of the Han Solo now resumes in July and will go through September instead of wrapping in July as previously planned. This is key because those 2 actors both have prior TV commitments.
And especially, I mean, we learned they replaced the editor last month. Yeah. So, I mean, that's gonna kill, like, that's gonna take time in post to come in, and I know there's a universal editing format, like the idea of how, like, naming shit and everything, because like, that was a thing that, like, I kind of learned at Full Sail, but not really because we didn't do video editing. But it's the idea of, like, so you come in and you can see where everything is, but what if the styles clash? What if somebody says, no, this should be here instead of here? And then how far back do they have to go? What cut do they get? That's time. I mean, that's potentially a lot of time that they have to make up in a very short order.
Oh yeah. And did you see they also had to bring in an acting coach for the kid playing Han Solo?
For Aiden, was it Ehrenreich, I think? Is that I'm not terribly sure how to pronounce it, because and I put a lot of that at Lord and Miller for how they direct, because they wanted something more improv. They wanted something funnier. And I don't know about you two, but I don't want my Han Solo to be Jim Carrey.
No.
Yeah, and that was, I think, the exact quote that they were using,
Yeah.
or that supposedly he was using, that the character at times was resembling, like an Ace Ventura type character. And no, hell no. Like, we thought these two were good choices when we heard them, because we thought, okay, this movie could have some fun.
Right.
It can have comedy, but I thought maybe the comedy would be around him, not so much him necessarily doing it. Like he has this I don't know what word you would use it to. He has this is a bad word to use, but he has this swagger about him, the way he talks and everything else, but it's not Ace Ventura. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
He's not a goof. Like, and
Yeah.
that was the problem. Like when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get the guys from 21 Jump Street." Okay, I see why that's a good idea. I can also see why this could be a bad idea. And you don't want to immediately say, "Oh, this director can only do this thing," because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't James Wan, who did Saw, now doing Fast and Furious movies?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you can have them branch, and just because they did one thing doesn't mean they can't do another. But in this instance, it looked like they did try to bring just their style and say, no,
hmm
no, this is the movie we want to make. And Disney Lucasfilm just kind of said, you're fucking up this character. We don't like
Right.
it.
Exactly. He's supposed to have the right amount of sarcasm to make his character funny, but yeah, to go completely like Looney Tunes, it sounds like that's ridiculous. And yeah, man, what I was reading was that they apparently the things they've shot is very usable. That I imagine they might go back and reshoot some things that didn't work, but um, yeah, I mean, I can't think of a film on this level that has done anything like this, ever. I can't
Yeah,
think of anything.
not
Like
in. Yeah, I think you. I don't. I think you were probably going to go to. We used to talk about Superman 2
right.
as like the closest thing that we could think of. But even
hmm
like, I don't. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't think of anything lately. I'm sure there's been a thing or two, and at least I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Right. And then now the problem, unfortunately, is everyone's going to go into this film just, uh, looking for what's wrong with it, and we're
Yeah.
looking for, okay, where did everything fall apart? And maybe they hear something sarcastic, and they're like, oh wait, was that the straw that broke the camel's back? That's unfortunate, I think.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. And if the styles are that drastically different, then
hmm
you may wind up with an uneven film. There's going to be sequences here and there where you're like, "Oh, this is much more lighthearted and funny," and other times where it's like this is just stupid kind of silly. And that's if that's what I worry about, is that you're going to see two different films in one.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, One thing that I found interesting is that, I forgot who was talking about. Maybe I think it might have been Max Landis, who was like, "This is the one time in Hollywood where, a studio will back a writer," because apparently Loris Kasdan was a shadow on the set, and he was the one that was like constantly like, stick to the script, guys. Where they were like, okay, do the scene, but say this instead, or improvise it, like you were talking about how they direct. And he's like, well, wait a second, that's not how it's written. That's not the character. That's not, and obviously, Kathy Kennedy's gonna back her boy, the guy that's been there forever,
Yeah,
and made kind of Star Wars what it is today. And so
exactly.
it's and he was, I forgot who it was, but they're like, it's the one time in history where they back the writer, where usually it's the director's like that gets all the like, all right, let's change it, and screw the script. I thought that was interesting.
Well, and so many factors worked against them. It wasn't just that it was a Star Wars film or that it was a big studio film. It was a case of like, here is an established character. So that's
hmm
already a box you have to work in. You can't really go outside of it. You could do you can have some leeway here and there, sure, especially with it being the younger version of this character. But if you're going to go too far, they're going to pull you back in. And it seems like either Lord and Miller they had a vision. They clearly had a vision for what this movie was going to be. And it did not mesh with the Disney vision, as we can now tell. But that's always what happens. A writer and a director and a studio are always going to kind of disagree on the movie, and you have to have some give and take. But there are times where some people are going to have to give a lot and not get much back, and that's the business. And usually that doesn't totally suck. Usually it works out to everybody's advantage because it's more perspectives, it's more this, it's more that. It provides a broader interpretation of the script that was brought to the table. But in this kind of instance where it's like, oh, we're going to do our comedy funny bit, and it's like, guys, it's not the character, it's not the film. This is they were trying, this is not Lego Batman. You can't just do we're doing a completely different interpretation of this character. That worked then because it was a whole completely separate thing. That's not going to work here because it is intertwined.
Right, we're not making a Lego movie. It makes sense in that realm. One thing I thought was interesting was, apparently 40% of Rogue One was reworked. From what Gareth Edwards did. Yeah. I hope it's more like that, because if you remember, the trailer is completely different from what actually happens in the movie, and it makes sense because they went back and reshot a lot of stuff to kind of fit in to what they believed would have been a better film. Obviously this is a lot different from that, but I hope that in its basic level, that if that's what they're doing with this, and it seems like that's what's happening, it melds better. Hopefully we go into it and we're like, that was great. It flowed well. Everything looks good. Nothing clashes. I hope it's not like Suicide Squad, where you're like, oh, you can tell they went in and wrote comedy for this where there was none before, or with attempted comedy. I hope this one is more like Rogue One, where if you don't tell anybody that it was reshot, and like if they never saw a trailer and they just were like, hey, that was just good all the way through, everything made sense. I hope it's like that. I hope there's no line. I don't know. I think Ron Howard's a great choice to do that. I think we talked about last week. I thought J.J. Abrams would have been perfect, but it's going to be interesting to see a Ron Howard, kind of take on it.
Well, I mean, he's done space before.
Oh yeah, and he from what I saw, like set pictures, like they literally look like they have a car from like Happy Days, but a space car. So like I honestly think they're going that route where like Han Solo is playing this guy that likes racing cars. Like it's straight from that, what's George's movie before Star Wars?
American Graffiti.
All the set pictures look like American Graffiti in space.
They could do worse than that. Like that's not a terrible idea.
And to me, that's what I think of Han Solo. I think of this guy that, he's not going in to get a milkshake, he's going to get a beer or whatever, but that whole frame of mind. And that's what I was looking forward to this, because I thought it was going to kind of be a little like cool and fun. But hearing that it was Ace Ventura with that, it's just ridiculous. So
yeah,
man. Hopefully the news dies down on this and nothing crazy happens. The good thing is they have more than enough money to throw at this to hopefully fix it.
Very, very true.
I'm just hoping that throughout the movie we don't get whiplash, though. You want the comedy, you do, but you don't want, sarcasm comedy versus Jim Carrey comedy. It's completely different, and you don't want to be confused. What kind of comedy are we trying to watch? Or I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to be like, oh, you can tell in some of those films where it's just so edited, and you're like, were they like? I feel like they weren't standing next to each other in the same scene, you know, that kind of stuff where it just hard edits and cuts. Yeah, I would not want that either.
I just don't want. I just don't want to. You know, I want the comedy, but I also want some of the serious moments too. Like, how does he get the Millennium Falcon? I kind of want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want it to feel natural and not like, oh, wait a second, was there supposed to be a scene there? Like, I hate stuff like that. Apparently, the new, and I know you guys aren't going to be seeing it, but the new Transformer film, did you hear about how the scenes are in the film? You know, when you go from, you know, when a film is shot in IMAX and it takes up the whole screen, and then when it's not, you get the bars at the bottom and top?
Yeah.
Apparently, in this film, when people went and saw it in the theater, scenes are cut to where 20 seconds of it is the IMAX, and then it goes back down to the bars for 2 minutes, and then back to, and it was Jeremy Jahns that was reviewing it. He was like, I'm going to show you exactly how this worked, and it was like one character was talking, and it was IMAX, and then the character he was talking to would go to him, and it was the bars, and he was like, it was going back and forth, and he was like, what the fuck's going on in the camera? What is happening? And completely took him out of the film, and that's how I imagine something like that would be, just with the comedy, you know, going back and forth.
Somebody who was doing reshoots was not thinking. Oh,
exactly.
Man, that's something I expect from a Michael Bay film, sadly. Look, no, ever since he got up at whatever the hell Samsung or whatever conference it was, and was like, I have to give a speech on filmmaking, and the teleprompter broke. And he's like, okay, so now I just have to improv as a famous director, writer, and producer what it's like to make a film. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I have to walk off stage now. That was when I was just like, fuck him, I'm done. Like, you could make an argument through all the movies he's done that, you know, he's got a style and this and that, and you still can, but once he was like, oh, I can't stand up here and just talk about the process of filmmaking, I was like, that was when he was done. For me. Right. That was when I was just like, I genuinely despise his movies. Because I'm like, does he even actually make them? And
right, exactly. It's one thing, like, he totally is the definition of style over substance.
Yeah.
But like you said, when it gets to the point where you're like, wait a second, who actually is the man behind the curtain?
Yeah.
Are you actually making this film, or is there a shadow person that's doing it? Where is Bill Finger? You know?
And and especially because the whole thing was like the visuals of the film, because it was about their TVs and all this stuff. If Michael freaking Bay can't stand up there and spend 10 minutes talking about why these visuals look amazing when that's what he's known for, I'm sorry, you turn in your card, man. Like, I got nothing. Like, and it, you know, he came out later and did the whole, like, I'm sorry, I froze, blah, blah, blah. And, okay, fine, then come back and try it again. Oh, no, can't do that. All right, fine, then. Done with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you, was it you that told me no, it probably wasn't you. Someone was like, I don't like Bay, but I'd be interested in to see a Power Rangers movie from him. I was like, oh, well, that would be, maybe.
I would not mind, like, guys like Bay and Zack Snyder, and less so Zack Snyder now, but, like, Bay, if I was like, I have this big giant action scene, this huge, like, car crash catastrophe kind of thing, I would bring him in to guest direct in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for that scene. It was one person I heard over the weekend, Jeff Gerstmann, they were talking to him, and they were like, hey, did you see Transformers? I think he said he went to see Wonder Woman. They're like, did you see Transformers? And he goes, I like Transformers too much to go see that film.
Oh,
that was a good answer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And on that fun-loving note, we're going to take a short break. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see you all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And over the break, we started... You had an interesting question. Shell, go ahead. What was your question?
Okay, well, is Mark Hamill going to be the only, main character from the original series to still be in the last trilogy? Is he, because, Carrie Fisher's passed away, and what happened to Han in the Force Awakens, so, what's going to happen? How is that going to play out?
It's a valid point, really, and it's definitely something to think about. Like, what can you have a successful, like, I know you, what was the phrase you used, Adam? What did you say?
The pass the baton.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's like that's hard to do if there's nobody around by the end. Like, I keep thinking, like, I want Luke to have like an I've done my job, I'm going away again, but instead of like I can't handle these responsibilities, I have to take off, nobody come find me, run away, kind of cry in a corner. Like, no, I'm retired now. My job is done. You guys take over. I'm good. Thanks. You'll find me sipping blue milk here on the beach, like, kind of thing.
Right. I want a happy ending for one of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they, what they do with Leia's story.
Yeah.
Because of what happened. From what I understand, she was supposed to be in the third one. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But I think everyone's question is Luke going to, is he going to kick the bucket in this one? Because, is he going to truly take on the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi? And that would he would have to, do his thing so she can move on. But I hope they don't go down that road. I think we've seen that before, and I hope that they take some of the criticism from the first film where they're like, this followed the original movie way too closely because it was like paint by numbers. And I hope that in this one and in the third one, they detour a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I expect this one to be a lot darker. I expect this one to be a lot more like Empire. So I'm not going to be disappointed that it follows that same kind of route. But I would like something a little bit different, a little bit more of a happier ending, for Luke Skywalker. I hope that it is a twist that he survives, if that makes sense, and that he doesn't kick the bucket. Because I would like to see more Luke Skywalker. He was arguably my favorite from the original movies. I loved Luke. I think everyone loved Han. But man, the whole Jedi stuff, that stuff interests me.
Well, I mean, the thing with Luke was he was a dork.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
He was almost thoroughly unlikable in the sense of I heard Mark on I think it was on the Nerdist, like his second time around, where he was talking about the idea of Luke was the guy who, if he showed up at a party, like, everybody suddenly found somebody else to talk to real fast.
Right, exactly. But I maybe it wasn't his character that I liked. I liked the whole Jedi thing that fascinated me.
Right.
The whole mythology of all of that stuff. And so, him being the last Jedi, I think that's super interesting. And him being the last person who can train her and all that other stuff. And is he her father? Is he not her father? All of that stuff. Like, I hope that it moves on into the third film.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm saying.
I would like it not. I don't want it all answered in the second movie, but I would like it to be answered before this trilogy ends.
Right.
And I want to see Luke go from Jedi Knight to Jedi Master, and I want to see Rey go from Padawan to an actual Jedi Knight. And I know she's got the Force. We know that much, but we don't know how much. Like, she doesn't seem to have a lot of control over it yet.
Exactly. The thing is with her is, and this was some people's criticism about her, is that she learned everything way too fast. It all took, but I think there's an answer to that question. I think that they did that on purpose. They did show her suddenly do these things that, would have been impossible for in the story for the Jedi. We haven't seen them take on that fast. But then again, I mean, we saw Luke take on pretty fast when it came to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they made it seem like she was advancing way faster than everybody else. But I think there's a reason behind that.
Well, and
I think.
yeah,
Oh,
like
go ahead.
I think that the idea there is almost kind of an adrenaline thing of just like
Mhm.
Yeah.
she's thrown into this crazy life and death situation. She's reaching out for whatever she can find. It's not like, oh, I'm consciously using the Force.
Right.
Even in the fight at the end where she actually is like, oh, I can try to use the Force. It's not focused. It's completely
Right.
undisciplined. She's just wildly reaching out for whatever she can find.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and that you can't replicate. So
Right.
put her in a training session and say, okay, now concentrate on doing this, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, bingo. I think you nailed it on the head. And just that's what I'm interested about. I think that's why she's got to be a Skywalker. Like that's why I think it just has to be, because of how advanced she gets with it. And I don't know. I hope, I'd like to see a happy ending for Luke
Yeah.
in this movie, even though it looks like the Jedi have to end. It's so. Ugh. But yeah, I don't know.
I think she's Obi-Wan's granddaughter. That's my working theory. That's my like realistic kind of look at it. My fantasy look at it is that she's related to Qui-Gon.
Yeah, that'd
That's
be interesting.
That's what I really want, is that she's like Qui-Gon Jinn's granddaughter. That would blow me away.
Or
Like,
even
hell,
great granddaughter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been dead for 50 years ish. I mean, storyline ish.
Yeah, give or
Mhm.
take, because it was 10 from 1 to 2, and then
Yeah.
Negligible from 2 to 3, a couple of years, but then 30 to 4, and then we're saying another 30 to 7, I think.
So 60, 70 years at least.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, but you figure Ray's what, 20 ish?
Yeah, I mean, the same age Luke was.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, so granddaughter, like her mom would have been 40 about the time. So I know, like doing the math on this.
Well,
I mean,
I liked the theory that what if it was like a chart that they mapped out. What if Luke did get with somebody that was the Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter that maybe he didn't know about?
right.
Because we do know Obi-Wan Kenobi has broken the Jedi thing before in Clone Wars when he fell in love.
True.
Like, he was ready to completely leave everything, and until what happened to her.
Yeah.
He was like, no, I'm done with this. I want to be in love and have a family. Like, it's not that far fetched if that would be a huge twist, because then you would have Skywalker and Kenobi family, the blood, as one, and the whole, like, what kind of, what kind of offspring would that be?
Right. Just how strong in the Force? Like, you thought Anakin was strong with the Force. Holy shit.
But I mean,
Yeah.
My working theory is that she might just be a child of the Force, like Anakin was.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think, that she's just straight up reincarnation of Anakin.
That was the one that I loved, was like a whole thing about how the idea of the chosen one wasn't a person but a spirit that kind of kept kicking on down the line.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Then it would be Luke going, "You are my father."
I would. God, could you imagine if like that's how they spin this? Like, if they're gonna keep doing it like kind of shot for shotish, so the Last Jedi is like Empire, and instead they have this vision. They have this shared vision of everything, and he just looks at her and goes, "No, you are my father."
Right.
That
would be a trip. People would lose their minds.
Yeah, in 12 different ways, it'd be amazing.
Right? They'd be like, "What?" Their mind would just explode. Like, how could that? That would be. That'd be interesting. I don't know if they would do that, because, oh man, but I don't. It'd be interesting to hear Mark Hamill try to deliver that line seriously, because he would just start laughing in his laugh.
So like he would say it, and it would have to immediately shoot to Rey.
Yeah, like he could. There's no way he could keep a straight face for it. There's no way.
Exactly, and I would be okay with that. If that happened, I would be totally okay with that, because that makes sense in the story, and it would totally make sense why she was able to get get into a cockpit and know how to fly it and do all this other stuff. It was just intuition was all right there built into her.
Right.
So yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. And to be fair, we also don't know, like, she spent a lot of time on I can't remember the name of the planet, on Jakku. So like, we don't know, we know she lives in a hollowed out walker, and she can polish stuff, and she knows how to ride a speeder. What else? Like, she's been there for pretty much what looked like almost all of her life. So she's got to have learned some of this stuff. She has to have had like an inkling of some of this in some way.
You can tell she was never off planet. That was new to her. She saw a green planet and that blew her mind. But you're probably right. Like, just tinkering around with the ships and stuff like that, and pretending, I guess, and just probably listening to space pirates or whatever.
Sure.
I imagine she learned something. But you could tell it when Han looks at her and she looks at Han. You could tell she's like, yeah, this is weird that I know this. Something. But I think that this is J.J. Abrams writing it. This is him putting in little question marks throughout the whole film that I'm sure, they pass the baton on to the next people. They're like, oh yeah, here's the answer to this, put in the story, I imagine they mapped out most of the films before they even got to this one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would imagine that there's, especially with Kasdan in the room, I'm sure there was very much a here's the blueprint, and here are the main bullet points. Here's what we know. Here are the big signs we have to get to. How we get there is the fun part. That we can have different writing teams do and all that stuff. But we've got to hit, this is the parentage. This is where this happens. This is where this happens. But some of it's fluid. Like Poe wasn't supposed to survive. Like, he was supposed to have died in that crash, and then they were so impressed with him and all the questions he asked and how involved Oscar Isaacs was. They were like, you know what? Fuck it, bring him back. Like, he's really good at this.
Oh yeah, like that was when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, if they would have killed him right then and there, that would have been so disappointing. Because I really liked his character. That is one of my favorite scenes from the film is when they both needed each other to escape, and they're in the cockpit and they become like best friends. Their chemistry right there.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. They're like, it was like that scene in Step Brothers where like, did we just become best friends? Like that. That was perfect.
Yeah. And I loved him because he was just so real. He wasn't regimented. I'm only going to give name, rank, and serial number. They've got him on his knees in front of Kylo Ren, and there's just dead air, and then there's, so how's this work? You talk first, I talk first.
Yeah.
Like, that's when you look at this character and you're like, oh, I love this guy.
That was improvised?
I'm not surprised, and that's a case of where improv can work. And and I think it works because of the rest of his character. That is completely an in-character line. Like, it absolutely works, no doubt.
Right, yeah, and that's where, kind of talk about what we were talking about with Han Solo. Han Solo is an established character. This is a brand new character. This is where they can experiment. The new characters you can experiment with because there's no expectation. There's no cemented lore and, all these years of people reading books and everything else. With him, it's fresh. You can do what you want. And it was on the commentary for the Blu-ray. And JJ was like, this part here, he improvised because he didn't it just worked for that scene instead of them being super serious. It broke the tension. And I thought that was because that's his character.
Yeah.
Like, he gets nervous and he blurts out something like that.
That's the some people talk about, a good actor and a good director will just stick to the script. Sometimes a good actor is somebody who's so in character, they just think like that character. And you get, what would my character do? And in this instance, he did it, and it happened to work. And, there's no telling how many of those times in every movie ever an actor does that and they don't use it because for whatever reason it doesn't work. But sometimes you get something like that, and it's just like, well, that was fucking brilliant.
I mean, yeah, it's I want to see more of that. in
Mm-hmm.
The Last Jedi. I just want to see everything in like a
Yep.
2-hour movie. I don't know how that's gonna work.
This time 2 months ago, she couldn't have told you much of anything about Star Wars. Now look at the training that I have accomplished.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
a
And
it's
you
a
know,
testament to the material. It's
Mhm.
really engaging, interesting, fun storytelling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's why I love these books that they're doing. Like the new one that's coming out, the Inferno Wars, or yeah,
Squad,
I say
Inferno Squad.
the Inferno Squad. Yeah. And I saw the actress. I don't have her name in front of me, but the one who's playing the main character in that game. She was on the Game Over Greggy show, and she talks about the book and how much her character is laid out in that book. So when you go into the game, it's going to have a lot more meaning for somebody playing through that single player, where it has enough for the game, but to have that lore behind it, to have that whole story of that squad and how they got together, and then it picks up where the game starts, where everything kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about that. That if you really want to go into it and know those little parts, that kind of stuff you can go and dive into.
Yeah, it's the next thing for the next thing for you sitting over here, like, is I'm gonna dig up one of the like Clone Wars must watch episode sheets, because there's so much. Clone Wars is another one that was like, we made all these episodes kind of like on a network schedule, so there is a lot of filler, and it's hard to just
Right.
sit down and just watch it straight through.
Mhm.
But then there's some of the books are fantastic, like Lost Stars. I think I talked to you about a little bit.
I think
Yes.
so.
It's Lost Stars is fantastic. It's
Mhm.
it's the kind of book that would be awesome even if it wasn't Star Wars. It's just a really great, really well written young adult book. But the fact that
Mhm.
it's in the Star Wars universe and covers so much, like it basically covers the original trilogy span of time, and it's
Right.
done so well and from such a different perspective that
Mhm.
it just adds to it.
Yeah. And there's that other book that's coming out that I kind of wrote off immediately. I think it's called From Another Point of View.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, from a certain point of view. Let's see here. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard
Um,
of this one. Or if I have, like, I did the same thing of just like, I don't care.
It's an anthology book. It is
Okay.
40 years, 40 stories.
Okay.
It's called Star Wars from a Certain Point of View. It's an anthology book celebrating 40 years of the galaxy. So it's 40 years, 40 stories, and it tells a story from a different perspective from a background character throughout all the movies.
That's really interesting.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and you have characters from the movies and characters from like the books, the extended universe. So you have like even Ahsoka's in there.
Nice.
Yeah, so like that's awesome, I think.
Very cool.
Um,
All right, we are running up on a break here. I want to thank Chantelle for being with us today. She's gonna duck out here.
But
Round
thank
of
you
applause.
guys. I'm really interested.
Oh, see, there we go. We're adding to our podcast repertoire, and she'll be back. She'll be back, especially like after this would be a great like grab somebody on your end and have like a bunch of people do like once The Last Jedi comes out, we do like a special breakdown with
Yeah.
more than just the usual two of us. Like that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I can do that.
Sounds good. That's a plan. But we are up on a break here. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. When we get back, we're going to maybe dig into some of this other news and talk about the long-rumored SNES Classic. We'll see y'all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And we got some other movie news this week. We had a fair bit of Spider-Man news, too. I thought that was interesting.
I'm so confused by this news. Are they in the MCU? Are they not in the MCU?
Well, according to Amy Pascal, they are not in the MCU. They are not connected to the main Marvel Comics universe. The real confusion is whether or not Tom Holland is going to be in them or not. They haven't, like, some say yes, some say no, and if he does show up in any of these, then I'm sorry, they're connected to the MCU whether you want them to be or not.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
just how that works.
Like we get it. Maybe we don't see Venom in any of the Disney films. That's fine. That's one thing.
Right.
But to come out and say like, oh, it is in a separate universe than Spider-Man? The fuck?
Yeah, that's Sony. Like as much as I love what they're doing with Spider-Man, I do not love what they're doing with, and I love the idea of what they're trying to do with the spin-off films because they've got some neat ideas. I like the idea of a Black Cat Silver Sable film. I think that could be really awesome. But the idea of how they want it to be like, oh no, these things are not connected whatsoever. I think the problem here is the rhetoric, because I think what they want to say is you don't need to follow the Marvel films to enjoy these films. These are not
Right.
These are not part of our contractual agreement with Marvel films. Like I think that's the separation they're trying for, but they're going about it in a really awkward way.
And didn't just like a week ago someone on wasn't it Feige that was like, oh, they're connected?
Yeah.
So that's what's so confusing. Did he ever retract his statement or correct it?
I don't know. I didn't see. I think maybe Pascal's statement was supposed to be some kind of clarification, correction. I don't know.
Oy vey, it's so bad. Did you see the connection with Peter Parker though? Did you see the news about?
I love that. I love that so much. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't say it because I don't know if it's considered a spoiler. But
I don't think so, because like it's been everywhere. Like if you haven't seen it by now, because it's such a tiny thing. I don't really think it's a spoiler. I think it's a cute little Easter egg. I adore it. I really do.
Well, go ahead and say it.
Yeah, it's the idea of like, remember how some people kind of thought it would be cute if the little kid in Iron Man 2 who like stands there in a mask and puts his hand out and almost gets blown away until Tony comes down to help him. What if that was Peter Parker? Wouldn't that be neat? Well, apparently Tom Holland and Kevin Feige had what was described as a 20-minute conversation, and it included that, and they both came away with saying basically, yeah, they didn't really like confirm it, but it was from what I saw, it was more like, hey, that's a really cute theory that we're not actually going to disprove.
No, I actually thought, I thought I read that they confirmed it. That, I mean, he's got the red gloves on, and he's got the mask, and he is in Queens, and he's at the appropriate age. So, that's really smart that they were like, hey, let's just put this here, and maybe somewhere down the road, you know.
I like that idea. I think it's because it's one of those things that if it was never anything other than just, hey, he helped out a cute kid, it would have been fine. Like if you remove the idea that that's Peter Parker, it really it doesn't take anything away from the moment. It only adds to it. I think that's great.
I saw another funny one. It was like Vin Diesel put out. It was like, hey, did you know that Groot was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before Guardians of the Galaxy? And it showed like a picture from like Avengers where Thor strikes a tree down with lightning or something. I thought that was funny. Yeah. But who's going to be the villain for the Venom film?
Carnage.
Awesome.
They're pretty set on Carnage, which I think is kind of it. Like, you can't really, the obvious villain for a Venom film is Spider-Man, but if they're not going to do that, then it has to be Carnage. Like,
have you been reading any of the Venom comics?
I haven't.
Okay, I started reading it because I wanted to get ready for the Venom verse or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's odd. It is Eddie Brock is in a relationship with Venom. That's how they kind of portray him. It's like he's in a relationship, and he calls it his relationship, and he goes to talk to a preacher about it, and he talks to the preacher as if he's talking about like he's in a loving relationship or a non-loving relationship, but it makes it seem like he's talking about, I don't know, some girl that he was in love with, and he's talking to the preacher about how he should feel about this person coming back into his life that not only destroyed it but also made him feel like he was alive, and he compared it to he literally called it a relationship, and Venom talks to him as if it's like a really destructive, intense, loving relationship where Venom will not let anyone get in the way of him and Eddie Brock's relationship, and Eddie Brock doesn't want anyone to get in the way of him and Venom's relationship. So it's fucking weird.
Well,
but it's interesting. I've read like 3 or 4 issues of it.
Yeah. On the one hand, though, it does make sense. I mean, they were, especially because they were bonded for so long.
Right.
It makes sense. Like, it is a weird kind of metaphor, but on the other hand, like,
Yeah.
I can totally see it. Yeah.
Yeah. You see Venom talk about his other relationships, and it's just, he's talking about how some of them were crazy and whatever, and one of them was good, like, what's his name, the Thompson, Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
But the guy he got on to after Flash Thompson was just another crazy person. But he was it's Venom talking as if like he's been dating people. And then Eddie is in the same predicament. He's like, it's not been the same since we broke up and all this other stuff, and it's interesting, but I wanted to catch up a little bit. So that going into the Venomverse, I kind of know what's going on and where Eddie Brock's head is and everything. So yeah, but it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's good. It wasn't bad. It was surprisingly good, because I usually don't read Venom at all, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I read some of Flash's run back when it was its own series around the first relaunch, the Marvel Now or whatever it was. And,
and he was in Guardians too.
Yes, now that I didn't read, like Venom, Space Knight, and all that stuff. I did not read.
See, that's what I read. I liked that. That was fun because, at that point in time, the I don't know that much about the Venom lore, and we don't have to go too much into it. But at the beginning, Venom was just almost crazy. But then he, the symbiote wanted to be a hero. He did not want to be a bad guy, and so when he was with Flash Thompson, that's why he bonded so well with him, because he was like, I want to be a hero, I want to help. And when he bonded with the guy after Flash Thompson, who was a crazy person, he was like, this isn't right. We shouldn't kill and do this kind of stuff. But even with, and this isn't that big of a spoiler, with Eddie Brock, the Venom symbiote accidentally kills some people, and he's like, no, like, you're not, like, relax, like, when I go to punch somebody, don't put their head in the wall, kind of thing. So it's kind of a tug of war with, like, what's right and what's wrong, and there's one scene in it, and this isn't that big of a spoiler, but, like, Eddie Brock wakes up with blood all over his hands, and he's like, oh my god, what did I do? And Venom's like, I did what I had to make sure that nothing got between me and you. And so it's like this fucked up relationship. But yeah, it's interesting. So I think we got a few more to go until Venomverse.
I think so, yeah, because they're doing Edge of Venomverse, and then they're doing Venomverse, and what was the thing? Somebody, I forget who it was, whatever artist, I think, shared a picture of, like, they're doing Gwenom.
Yes.
Like, from Spider-Gwen, they're doing Gwenom, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, cool, go for it.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I don't know when that starts.
Is it August, September?
Yeah, okay, June, actually, when you're listening to this, Edge of Venomverse starts with issue 1.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yep, and it has Wolverine on the front.
Yeah, well, because they've got, like,
X-23, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's what's gonna be weird, is, like, seeing just how many different Venoms there can be. Like, that's gonna be really weird.
Yep, absolutely.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, there was some Jurassic World news, right?
Yeah, it got a title. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
I love that name.
Which says to me, we're going to go deeper into what happened originally. Like, I think this is going to be more of like, oh, here's how it should have turned out, but it all just went horrifically wrong. and we're gonna see more. It's so much. This to me just conjures up all these images of just like shattered dreams, of like
Yeah.
this is look at how sad it is that this just doesn't turn out, and how all the promise of just a great paleontological attraction turned into, I mean, we saw what D'Onofrio's character was talking about of like weaponizing dinosaurs. Like
Hmm.
just the idea of like, look how far we've fallen.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. There's weight to those words. I like them.
Yeah.
And it yeah. It brings to mind exactly what you're talking about, and I think obviously like we're going to hopefully see the old park, all that other stuff, and this kingdom that has fallen,
Yeah.
and the ruins of it, and I don't know. I'm excited. I'm thrilled to see it. Um, Oh man, I can't wait, dude.
Yeah, because I mean I love Jurassic World, and I loved how it opens with like we're gonna see this park, and they get to the park, and like they're showing around like everything, and my favorite, like the best fan service line in everything like I think I've ever seen like this was when a kid goes running to the balcony, and he's like, I can't wait anymore, and just throws them open, and you see the whole park. Like
Yeah,
that was just like, yes, thank you, my God, they understand.
right, exactly. I loved that on the. Did you see the poster?
Yeah,
They have the quote "Life finds a way."
yeah. It's just
Yeah.
it well, because they're bringing Malcolm back, so that's
Yep.
doubly appropriate. But it's also like, what else happened? Like, did something get off the island that they don't know about? So like, are we gonna suddenly find like in the middle of some Central American jungle like a group of raptors or something? Like,
Yeah, I mean the poster's kind of weird because the poster looks like almost like maybe ashes are sparking up
yeah,
and so I that's what I maybe it's symbolism of like from the ashes of that comes something new. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Like, do they get off the island? Do they venture out? And does life find a way on other islands or whatever? So I don't know, man. Dinosaurs. Just chalk this one full of dinosaurs, and it's gonna of course have Chris Pratt back in it. So whew, I can't wait to see him
yeah, him.
interact with Malcolm.
Yeah. Oh man, those two. God, and because Bryce Dallas Howard's gonna be back in it, and
Hmm.
and I, her take on that'll be interesting just to see, like from the side, because she'll come at it. It seems more from a higher intellectual point. Like she and
Hmm.
Malcolm could have the big philosophical discussions, and
Hmm.
Chris Pratt could just kind of look at this from the more grounded, like, no, I live in the world, like I don't live in books, kind of
Right.
way. But I
Oh
don't
yeah.
like that's those. Yeah, that chemistry is gonna be interesting. I want to see that.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Um, did I see that? I thought I heard that Bert Kreischer is going to be in Jurassic World. Is that true? No,
who?
maybe I'm.
Who?
Bert Kreischer, the comedian.
The guy who does the Russian bit? Really?
Yes, yes, yeah,
The machine? No, like
yeah.
that would
He
that
was
would.
he was here in Orlando. He was on a show called Tom and Dan's, huge podcast here in Orlando, and anyone listening, go listen to Tom and Dan. They're hysterical. They do so many episodes. They have the regular episodes, then they have their episodes for the BDMs, that's a phrase that I won't utter on here. Um, and then they do one of their other free shows each week is a comedian that comes into town. They go to the thing, and what's great about their format is Tom and Dan. They're just like us, where they just sit and talk. So they can sit and talk for just like the Nerdist. They can sit and talk to a comedian for a few hours, and the comedian doesn't have to like go over his bits or whatever. They just have funny conversations. And Bert Kreischer was one of the guys on it, and I could have sworn he said he was shooting um, that movie, but I could be or that he shot. I don't know that he has seen or something. I'm probably completely off with that. So
I that would
I don't
that
know.
would be really cool though. I just found out about him like 2 weeks ago. Like I think because I
Yeah.
was on YouTube and like it recommended his bit on the machine, and I was like, all right, what the hell? 3 in the morning,
Oh.
I'm tired, amuse me. And I'm watching this and I was like, this dude's fucking hysterical. Holy shit.
He's great. Oh yeah, like he has a whole bit where he talks about meeting Will Smith for the first time. And the crazy thing is his stories aren't made up.
Yeah.
Like his stuff about the Russian stuff, all completely true. Like the people that were in his class were commenting on his stuff like, that asshole robbed me. Like this actually happened, you know. And he talks about meeting the guys from Creed before they got popular, and Will Smith found him. Will Smith that's how he became big. He did this comedy tour thing, and Will Smith heard him and invited him to go watch American Pie with him and a bunch of hip hop artists.
Nice.
He has the craziest stories, but he's hilarious. I could have sworn I heard him say like we were filming scenes from Jurassic World, but I could be completely wrong. And he also does stuff on the Travel Channel, so it might have tied into that.
Yeah.
Because he has a thing called like Bert the Conqueror on the Travel Channel where he goes to like different cities and amusement parks to test stuff and be funny.
Well, like he was on an episode of The Shield. You know, I mean that was a long time ago, but like there's at least an acting credit there, if nothing else.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. I don't know. It might. I could be wrong. It might have tied in with his Travel Channel stuff, but he's hilarious. I expect to see him in films because he's really blown up in the last year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I kind of got us off topic there for a bit. But yeah, dude, I mean, that movie's going to be good. Especially, I think the fact that they got Jeff Goldblum speaks volumes, and that's going to bring back the nostalgia for the old ones. To him team up with, Howard and Pratt, that's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. But we're coming up on our last break here. When we get back, we're going to talk about the SNES Classic, see just how many of our fantasy predictions we got right, talk about some details. When we get back, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See y'all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. Got a couple little brief things I want to do real quick before we get into the SNES. They've greenlit The Conjuring 3 over at Warner Brothers. Cool. They don't expect James Wan to come back and direct though.
Oh.
So rumors abound there. And it may just be a scheduling thing.
Oh yeah, dude's insanely popular right now. Makes sense.
Right. Kevin Bacon confirmed they are doing a Tremors reboot TV series at Sci-Fi, and that he will be back as his character from the original.
Awesome.
That was cool. They did a Tremors series on Sci-Fi like a decade ago, and I did not see it because mainly from what I heard, it sucked. So that's unfortunate, but it's one of those franchises that there's such a bizarre kind of cult following for it. It's weird. They did the last one as a VOD movie, and it still had Bert in it, and because I cannot remember the actor's name to save myself, Michael something, and it makes me crazy because he's been in all of them. He's the only one that's been in all of them.
Right.
And I cannot remember.
He's the only one that answered every phone call.
Yeah, but he's just
Michael Gross.
Thank you, yes. And he's just owned that character, and it's been great. So that's neat. And something else I just saw, Disney gave a thing about their D23 Expo, which runs July 14th through the 16th, which puts it less than a week before Comic-Con. And it's interesting because they're what's from the release, attendees exclusive behind-the-scenes look at upcoming releases like Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Black Panther, and Star Wars The Last Jedi.
There we go.
Among those name-checked in the press release are Star Wars The Last Jedi, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, Pixar's Coco, A Wrinkle in Time, and Mary Poppins Returns. So they're D23 it sounds like they're trying to upstage Comic-Con, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's a thing, and that's gonna happen. But
Cool.
our other big thing this week was Nintendo confirmed they are in fact doing the Super Nintendo Classic.
Yes.
We knew it was gonna happen, like it had to, but
Are
now
you on any lists to get it?
I am not.
Dude, I have signed up for. I've actually, I got it for the UK one. Like, I put my information in and purchased it as a
Nice.
pre-order. So who knows if it's actually gonna be shipped to me? But for the Amazon one for the United States, I put my you can set to be alarmed.
Yeah.
Best Buy, Walmart, GameStop. They got my name in the hat at GameStop to call me if it comes up
Nice.
because I want this thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. They've announced it's gonna be they're gonna drop it on September 29th.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be $80, which considering what you get is a hell of a deal. What's up?
I was gonna say the problem is it's only gonna be available until the holiday season.
Right. Yeah.
Which is an extremely short period of time, considering the NES Classic was almost a year and a half. They had it out, which is crazy because they're like, we've learned from our mistakes. We're gonna have a lot more systems, but it's like it's only gonna be a few months.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 months. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They must really be hurting on production costs or something. I mean, this thing is just going to print money. I don't know why they're like, and it's a limited time only. Shut up.
And more people in the world want an SNES Classic than they do an NES Classic. Because let's face it, the NES had some great games on it, but they didn't have like, oh, I could see myself getting that. I think the SNES is the sweet spot for where gamers are right now.
Yes, this thing will sell like crazy, and including since let's run down the lineup here, and then we'll see where like what we hit and what we didn't after we go through. It's got 21 games: Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, F-Zero, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox and Star Fox 2, which was never released, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, which is basically like the Super Nintendo edition, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, and Yoshi's Island.
Awesome lineup.
This is a fantastic lineup. There is not a bad game in this bunch at all. And let's we'll go down the ones from your list that weren't on here, and then we'll do the same for mine. You had some interesting ones on here that I liked.
Yes. The Adventures of Batman and Robin will be the first one. Have you ever played this?
I did, yeah. I loved it.
Yeah. You're going to see a lot of those kind of games on my list. The side-scrolling beat-em-ups from cartoons.
Yeah.
Aladdin. Aladdin was one of my favorite games from that generation. If you owned a Genesis or an SNES, you had Aladdin. And it was fun as hell. It's probably my favorite Disney game.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Was Chrono Trigger wasn't on their list, right?
Yeah, and that surprised me.
Yeah, that was the one that I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was definitely the big one of like, how is this one not on here?
Right.
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a company thing or what, because it's been on other stuff since, but like that one surprised me. Like, why not put Chrono Trigger on here?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I put that one on there. I didn't play that one until later. I think it was on the DS that I played it, but it's just still such a great game that I was like, okay, yeah, I could see why people, when they played it on the SNES, would want to play that.
Yeah.
I had Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2. I thought 2 definitely deserved to make the list.
Yeah, I think two. I think a lot of people gloss over the sequels.
Yeah.
But yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2 was definitely a solid sequel, no doubt.
Earthworm Jim, I think, was a great game for that generation. I think you got it on both Genesis and on the
Yeah.
The SNES. I mean, Earthworm Jim, just classic from that generation.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they put Final Fantasy VI on it, though. That's worth the ticket price alone, people.
Yeah. The interesting. Here's where we hit the problem with, because 6 is not 3.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. The game on this console is Final Fantasy VI. They just call it 3.
Oh, so it's the actual. Really?
It's actually 6. Yes.
Okay.
Because Final Fantasy 3 in the U.S. was Final Fantasy 6.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
So that's why they just kept the same name.
Okay. So they left it. Okay. So, but then on in Japan, is it going to be Final Fantasy 6?
I think it's Final Fantasy 6.
Okay. See, that's where I was getting confused. I didn't check which numbering it was. I just thought it was
because Final Fantasy 3 never came out on the SNES. It was 6 that came out on it.
Right.
They called it 3 because we're American and I don't know.
Right. Well, because we had 1, but then our 2, again, Final Fantasy 2 for America on the SNES was actually Final Fantasy 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It got
they were like, let's pick and choose what comes out over there, and we'll just keep 1, 2, and 3 to make it easy for them.
Okay. So now this makes a lot more sense. Because I thought it was 3, actually 3.
Yeah, and 6 is arguably some people's favorite. I think it's always a toss up between 6 and 7, and then some people say 10.
And 4. 4 was,
Right.
Yeah. You couldn't have, I was glad, I would have gone with 4 or 6 for sure.
Right.
I am glad that they did that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had Killer Instinct because I thought that was a fucking kick-ass game.
Yeah, I don't know if they could though with Rare still doing that over at Microsoft now.
I mean, there's a lot I have on here that I know would never make the list, but I was like, that would be on my list. I had one of the Kirby games, the other one I didn't have. I had the Superstar one, which is the side scroller, I believe.
It was it was the different games. It was the one that had 5 different Kirby games in one.
Right. I had Lion King, which I thought was a great Disney game, right next to Aladdin. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
That was so good. I had Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 because I loved those games.
Yeah.
I spent hours playing them on the system. I know they could probably never put it out. Man, I just wish maybe who's the company that makes it? It was the Chicago company, Midway. They should just have a Midway machine.
Yeah. Well, they're closed, so that's
right
too.
I know. Killer Instinct, Lion King. I had NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
That would have been cool.
Yes. Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage, which is another one of the side scrollers.
True.
Yeah, did you ever play that one?
I did. Yeah, I love.
Oh man,
that's awesome.
So good. I had Star Fox. Did not have Star Fox 2, but that's cool that Star Fox 2 is a thing. I'm honestly not really into Star Fox on Super Nintendo, so I don't even care less about it.
Well, it was because it was so polygonal. It's very wireframe.
Right. I knew it's one of the, I knew that had to make the list.
Yeah, back in the when it came out, it was insane. But it has not aged. No. But for the sake of the history of the system, it's got to be on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I thought about putting Super Mario All-Stars on here, but that would be kind of cheating. But it's basically Mario 1, 2, 3, Lost Levels, and whatever.
Yeah.
It would have been kind of perfect, I think. I think they really should have just put it on there, but I didn't put that on my list. I put all the Super Star Wars games on there. Super Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. Because all those games are awesome. It's slide-scrolling Star Wars games. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Awesome. How did this not make the... This must have been a rights issue that they couldn't get this on here. There's no way this doesn't... Without any sort of legal injunction, there's no way this doesn't make the cut. I was so bummed.
Yeah, because that game is so much fun, and I love going to the because I believe they made it into an arcade game, right? So
yeah,
there's one of the arcade games I love going to and playing it, and also WrestleMania the arcade game.
Yes,
because that's just so much fun. It was made by Midway, where it was basically they had crazy superpowers and stuff when they were, slamming each other, and it was like Mortal Kombat but in a wrestling ring.
Yeah, Undertaker would hit you with a tombstone kind of thing.
Absolutely. I would kill for them to do this nowadays. They
Immortals.
can have their 2K whatever $60 game, but throw me a bone with a $20 game just like that with Kevin Owens, Nakamura.
I'll save you $20. It's called WWE Immortals. It's a mobile game.
That's not the same though.
I know,
that's straight up Mortal Kombat.
I know, but like it's as close as you're gonna get, I think.
I know. I want an arcade in a ring where you can tag, like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's space for that. There's room for that. Hell, have it a mini game in the fucking 2K thingy for all I care. But how about that trailer real fast? You see the trailer for the game?
I loved it up until they showed it with Seth Rollins. Like
I still loved it with Seth Rollins because he literally it kind of doesn't make no sense because he has kind of taken a lot of people's other gimmicks.
Right. My thing is, like, I love the idea of, like, this is what your created superstar will do. Of, like, you're going to say screw the past and be your own dude. And then they were like, oh, it's Seth Rollins saying I'm going to be my own guy, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, like, that's cool. Like, it didn't make me hate, like, it didn't turn me off the game. I was just like, I could have done without that.
Yeah, but aren't you doing some... whose movie is he doing from Japan?
Kenny Omega. He's doing
Kenny Omega, right.
Yeah, he's doing his V-Trigger.
Right, and then you just got done doing Triple H. Okay, all right, You're your own guy. All right, what's your list? But Max Landis was like, that's the best thing the WWE's produced in years. But yeah, go ahead. And he's a writer for them. He said something along the lines. But
their video packages have always been amazing. Like, no question. My list real quick. I had ActRaiser because it was like I loved ActRaiser. Breath of Fire because I was on an RPG kick and it was big. Chrono Trigger, of course. Clay Fighter I wanted to see because it was goofy and awesome and I loved it. I had Earthworm Jim. I had, to use the Japanese numbering, I had Final Fantasy 4 and 5. Either one of those, they went with 6 with 3. Cool, awesome, good choice. Joe and Mac, because I thought if any duo needs a resurgence, it could be Joe and Mac.
Oh wow.
I had the Lost Vikings because I don't think that game gets enough love. I had Mech Warrior because again, like, here's a way to have something come back. Like, remember how awesome this was? Engage crowd reaction. I also had NBA Jam. I didn't have Tournament Edition, but I would have taken any edition. Like, would have been awesome. Right. Pilot Wings, because Pilot Wings 64 was a Nintendo 64 launch title, and I thought that could be fun. Like, Pilot Wings was kind of like an old school Wii Sports in the idea of, like, you do all this different stuff kind of thing.
Right.
Sim City, because... Come on, who doesn't love the original SimCity? I also had the 3 Super Star Wars games. I had Tecmo Super Bowl. I also had Turtles in Time. Again, come on, how does that not make it? And Top Gear, because it was the first. Top Gear was like the first Super Nintendo game I remember playing in my life. And so it was kind of a nostalgia thing for me, but also because it was awesome.
Oh yeah, I played that.
Yeah, see, now I remember. And I had a handful of them that actually did make the cut: Donkey Kong, Kirby, Kirby Superstar, Link to the Past, because of course that was going to be on there. Like, that was a no-brainer. Right. Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, the Super Mario stuff, Super Metroid, Super Punch Out. I'm glad Super Punch Out made it. That makes me happy.
That was not on my list.
Yeah, but
I didn't play it. Yeah,
I love it. I'm glad it's on there. It's a little heavy on the racial stereotypes on occasion, but it
was a different time.
It was the 90s. You could get away with Bob Charlie.
Right.
Right. But yeah, so that's going to be awesome. Pre-orders will probably go up in the coming days. They may already be up by now. Who knows?
UK, it's already up.
Yeah.
UK, Germany, where I think they're trying to get all those other places out of the way before they drop it on America, where they're just going to sell out in a few seconds.
Yeah, so I don't know. I may look into that. But
you know what? If you don't get one of these, people, go out there and get a fucking Raspberry Pi, because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. and
No joke. I mean,
build,
it's
and build your own based on ROMs that you've downloaded for games that you already own. Let's,
of course.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But,
yeah, I got my Super Nintendo sitting on my television.
There you go. I still have.
You know what?
What?
Real fast. Put all of this out on the Switch, and I will buy every single one of them.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, in a heartbeat.
Come on,
are you kidding?
That's all Nintendo has to do. Put them all out on the Switch. I will buy every single one of them.
Yeah, for between $3 and $5 a game, like Earthbound $5, Super Mario World $5, Star Fox $3. Like sold, done.
And hopefully it's alongside their $20 a year plan where you get this like Netflix style where you actually can just download the games and play them for free because they're not free, but you know what I mean. They're part of the package. That's the best of both worlds. But if you offer them for sale as well, hell yeah, dude.
Nice, yeah. No, that would be smart. But I'm gonna go sign up for those newsletters and check out this big PlayStation sale that I didn't know was happening right now.
Hundreds of games. There's week 1 and there's week 2.
Oh shit, great. That's what I need. But we're doing that. We're still doing. There's a week left for shirts if anybody wants them. The order, like the new goal is full. So if you order them, your card will be charged at the time you order. They're guaranteed to ship. They'll start shipping next Wednesday. They should, somewhere in that time frame.
Sweet.
Or they'll be delivered by, it depends on when you order. I think because I did mine last week, and like they'll be shipped as soon as the campaign ends. So it should be like next Wednesday, Thursday, they should start to ship at least.
Awesome.
They're down to, I forget what the price I said it at was. They're $13. Plus there's it's a couple bucks shipping and handling. Get one. They're awesome. Have it. We made 100 episodes, so you're goddamn right. We got a shirt to celebrate it.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And Keenan did an awesome job. I love the art. So I had to get one. And keep your ears open for stuff that we're going to be doing in the future. I know you've got some ideas, and that's that means I have to start coming up with ideas now. So we'll see what happens. Just
yeah, man.
Bigger, better, onward, more stuff. That's going to do it for us this week. Always remember we're live adjacent on the N.FM every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on iTunes and all your favorite podcast aggregators the following day. Check us out on iTunes, subscribe, give us a rating and a review, help us find a spot on the charts, or just to give us feedback. That's awesome. What can we change? What can we do? What can you like to hear? You can find us on Twitter. The show is at We Geek Podcast. I am at The Logan Witt. Adam is at Adam Estep. Come find us, chat with us, send us your opinions on whatever it is we've talked about this week or stuff you think we should talk about next week. We're always open to ideas. Come find our Facebook group. We're We Geek Podcast. Invite your friends, join in the discussion. It's all fun. It's all awesome. And this is always a blast. And
absolutely.
And send us emails, wegeekpodcast@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, topics. Winning lottery numbers would be great. And I think that'll do it for us. Captain?